social media in general is going to like body parts more than any other thing. They're not going to care how far you throw the football. They're going to care how much skin you show.
Officer Gomez, Deputy Gomez, however you want me to call you. Thank you for coming. I appreciate you.
Well, thanks for having me, and I can't be offended. So
Okay.
call me whatever you like, and I get called much worse.
I'm sure you do, my guy. So I asked you to come today specifically because there was an email that went out for West Ada School District inviting people to an athlete night. And immediately I was kind of like, what's this athlete night? Like, what's this information? And essentially what the email said is, hey, come to this athlete informational night. What we're going to do is we're going to help student athletes understand how to build and brand themselves on social media in order to increase their recruiting possibilities and potentially get some kind of sponsorship deal. And I think before I even finished reading that sentence, I was not picking up my phone, but going to call you. And they're like, oh my God, you have to get in here. You saw the same email, yeah?
I saw the same email, and I read through it, and I checked it out, and I have many concerns for sure.
Okay, listen, why don't we start? Just what do you think of that in general?
So in general, I do not like schools promoting any kind of electronic device usage, right? I like schools promoting education.
Right.
Right. And any time that we start promoting...
Get this guy just a little bit closer if you would.
All right.
There we go. There we go. Good.
Yeah. Anytime that the school starts promoting electronic usage, well, then that's open gate for everybody else to do electronic usage.
Right.
Well, hey, the school is letting us do this on phones. Why won't they let us do this on phones? And you want me to take my phone and do lots of sports stuff, but you're not going to let me have it in class. You know, and then kids whose parents don't want them to have phones, now the school is promoting a phone, right? So then parents already have it tough enough. But now you've got a 7th or 8th grader who's got some potential in football or track or whatever. And now, hey, well, mom, dad, I need to have a phone because I've got to start promoting myself for college stuff.
Right.
And on top of that, we have, I always tell parents, social media is grooming your kids to be worth their body parts. And this is one more thing that is going to groom your kid to be worth their body parts, right? Hey, you're worth your pictures. You're worth whatever you look like, right? You're worth whatever, you say. No, you're worth what you're worth to you and what your family values are. It's not what people think about you on Instagram. It's not how many shares or likes. And social media in general is going to like body parts more than any other thing. They're not going to care how far you throw the football. They're going to care how much skin you show.
Right.
Right. And you give me any kind of female who wears any kind of skimpy thing is going to outdo any male almost all the time. I mean, there's you get Justin Bieber or somebody, he's got some other things happening, but in general, showing skin on social media is going to get you way more likes than anything else.
Right. And again, if you break this down, all right, first off, I was a D1 college athlete. I actually won the national championship. I understand athletics, and I have a very dear friend who just got coach of the year for rowing. That his team actually won all of the races they entered at the national championship. First time in history that team had swept, and again got coach of the award. So I reached out to him because there are several aspects of this question, which is, okay, to what degree, if at all, is social media involved in the recruiting process? Right. So if you have a really high end team and you're looking to get the best people, do you consider social media? Right. So in the recruiting process, to what degree is it involved? And then what are the odds and what's involved with getting an NIL deal? That's a name, image, likeness deal. And that's a sponsorship. So I'm sponsored by like Sprouts, and I'm not actually, but say I was and I was jacked and I'm a college athlete. I'm like, oh, I shop at Sprouts. I actually have an ex-student who I'm trying to get a hold of. She had an NIL deal with Sprouts. She was a pole vaulter at Stanford. And I don't think she still has it, specifically because she was not the type of person who was interested in doing a lot of the things that would have been required to gain 10 or 20 or 100,000 followers. But again, let's start with the recruiting. Now, I got a hold of my friend who is the D1 coach, and I said, okay, look, to what degree is social media a factor in your recruiting? And his instantaneous response was, not only do we not consider social media when we're looking for good athletes, if we find good athletes and then we also find out that they have a robust social media following, that's actually negative because they're not interested in people that are going to be distracted by their phones. They're interested in people who can handle the crucible of school and D1 athletics. And if you insert outside influences to an 18-year-old who's now trying to check likes, trying to take photos at practice, trying to, gain likes through however they have to, it's like that person is guaranteed, one, going to be way more mentally unstable because they're going to be swayed by the success or failures of their social media platform. And two, they're just not going to have enough bandwidth to keep up. It's going to be brutal. In your experience throughout campuses, what do you see with people that are engaged deeply with social media, even if they're not athletes? Like, I presume these are not, like the highest, most successful achieving students, even within the academic world.
Yeah. So we see lots of drama, right? They can't focus. They're distracted by everything. They're emotional, right? Depending on what other people say, and with the athletes, even the best of athlete, as soon as you promote them up to a certain level and they get so many likes, now you've put a target on them. Now somebody from their middle school is going to come up with a video of them singing along with the lyrics of the N-word. And all of a sudden, not only do you have that student distracted, and that distracts the whole team. It distracts the whole school.
Right.
We see the same thing in every school, right? When one kid gets involved in any kind of dramatic thing, now the whole school is involved. Now the whole community is involved, right? We had it up in Horseshoe Bend where somebody had an old video of somebody singing along to lyrics, and they sang the N-word, and all of a sudden, our whole community is under attack from people around the world. You do the same thing to kids, it's too much, right? Sports is a beautiful thing for getting kids away from social media. Let's not add more social media.
This podcast is brought to you by MTU Studios. If you're looking to start a podcast or need content for your business or personal use, content of any type, please reach out to MTU Studios. MTUstudios.com. We'd love to help.
Right. So there's the aspect of that you put a target on their backs. You also, let's focus on males for a second because the issues on social media for males and females are different. Let's look at males. The male social media presence, if you have somebody that's very successful, like say a quarterback, okay, who has like a real awesome, Instagram, okay, and everyone's following, and he's building up this Instagram to get, say, notoriety with football or maybe get an NIL deal or something like that. As innocent as that may be, and he's not showing skin and he's being awesome. It's like a rolling highlight reel, and he hasn't offended his teammates. He's not pissing off his coaches. As innocent as you could imagine this athlete as being, what are the risks with even having someone like that at school?
So, true scam that's happened at when I was at Mountain View, happened multiple times. We get the boys at the school will copy the quarterback's Instagram page, exact picture for picture. And they'll make a new Instagram page, put the first 10 pictures, and they'll put the athlete's name, whatever his name is, _spam. They will friend all the incoming freshman girls or the 8th grade girls that are coming in next year. And they'll say, hey, I see you're coming to Mountain View. It'll be nice to see you here. I think you're super cute. Why don't you add me on Snapchat? They add them on Snapchat, and then pretty soon they ask for nudes, and they're highly successful at getting nudes of incoming girls. And it's not the quarterback. It's just some kid who goes to the same school, who knows the girls that are there, who knows the quarterback, has now taken over the identity of this super awesome quarterback who has no idea that his likeness and his name are being used to commit felony crimes right there in his own classroom.
And it's because that the original athlete, the original student, went through this work to gain notoriety on this platform, and that platform then can be leveraged to do horrible things
in his name against other people.
Right. And it's not even that they have to take that over. Like, once you just say like, oh, okay, you have an account with all these pictures, I'm just going to literally screenshot all of these pictures, repost to a different account, and now I'm acting as you. And yeah, you won't get everyone, but an 8th grader coming into freshman year isn't going to necessarily know or like have the capacity to instantaneously go up to some junior and be like, hey, is this you? Like, are you trying? I mean, they probably like, hey, I don't talk to a lot of people at school, but I saw you and I just wanted to reach out. So now the 14-year-old's not even going to talk to the junior at school. And she's like, oh, we have a relationship on, Snapchat or Instagram.
Yep. And so horrible thing. And that happens over and over again. Now the kids discover these are fake accounts within 24 hours. They're pretty smart about it, but it's too late, right? I've already got 10 girls that have sent nude photos to an unknown Snapchat account at our own school that isn't the quarterback.
God. So it just having the quarterback's Instagram presents all kinds of risks in our current environment.
Yes, because now somebody's going to add naked photos to the quarterback's face shot, right? They can use that for identity theft. They can use it for all kinds of nefarious activities. And again, this quarterback's super innocent. Hey, I'm just putting some stuff up to try and help myself for college.
Right.
He's super polite. He can do everything right. As soon as you put his identity out there, all the wrong things can happen.
Okay, so that's one concern. If you have a 16-year-old girl who is now, say, like a volleyball player or a gymnast or swimmer or something, whatever it is, and they start posting things, talk to me about because you don't have a lot of, or excuse me, there is the scam that is involved where you have a girl who has an Instagram account, okay? And she populates it with a bunch of her, again, innocent swimming, whatever photos. She's not trying to be seductive or anything. People can take that, okay, the copy picture for picture, that account, create another account, and they start reaching out to incoming freshman boys, 14 or 15 or 16. This is the catfishing, sextortion style thing, right? So they take somebody who exists at the school, potentially. They copy everything picture for picture, go on, grab 14 and 15-year-old boys, like them, hey, on Snapchat, they start talking to them. They're actually people that exist at the school, and then they ask for, obviously pictures or something like that from them, and then they start sextorting them.
Yep, send me nudes, and a lot of kids will do it. I mean, that's the biggest scam we have going against teenage boys right now is hot girl says hi, sends them a nude photo, and then all of a sudden it's on, and we're back to the sextortion scheme. And it happens over and over and over at every school across the United States.
And the really horrible thing here is, I mean, it's all horrible, but it's interesting that with a young girl, the value is the body part. It's the picture of your nude body, right? That's the value. With boys, yeah, you want a picture of them undressed, but you're going to use that to leverage their shame and embarrassment and get money out of them.
Correct. So you're not leveraging their worth against them, you're leveraging their biology against them, right? Because 13, 14, 15-year-old boys are just wired to see naked things. Right. So when you show them a naked thing, it's like, a fishing lure, right? The fish, even though he knows, hey, there's a chance that could be a hook. It's just programmed into them, right? Naked things, right? And, their top brain ceases to exist. And now they are being fished by probably another guy or some criminal organization. That's what parents don't understand. There's criminal organizations that are going after your kids.
Right. Okay. So those are two problems. Okay. Another problem, the Lululemon scam. I have to imagine that student athletes, especially female student athletes, are just ripe for this if they're trying to get name, image, likeness, sponsorship deals, or notoriety on Instagram as like a 16-year-old athlete.
Yes, absolutely.
Okay, so explain the Lululemon scam.
Okay, and so first of all, nothing to do with the actual Lululemon.
Right.
And there's various companies that these predators use, but I always use Lululemon just because of name recognition. They'll contact a young lady who's got 30,000 Instagram followers. And they'll say, hey, look, you've got 30,000, which is 10,000 above what we're looking, which is awesome. We really like your image. We're looking for Lululemon ambassadors, and you fit our profile that we want really well. Then they say, hey, look, let me send you a contract. We'll pay you this much. We're going to send you tons of free Lululemon clothing. And then they get them to sign up. We're going to do a Zoom interview on Saturday morning, and there's going to be 3 of us there in the room, and they make it look all professional. And they tell her that they want her to bring a bikini along that she can change in the other room. We need to see your shape so that we know what kind of clothing to send you that will promote your body better and promote our clothing better. So we help you, you help us. Everything looks very professional, so much that I've had parents actually go in with the daughters and still fall for it. And at the end, they say, hey, you don't have to do this, but it would help a lot if we actually saw your breast shape. Right? We're going to tailor everything to you. We can make it fit better.
Thing.
And with parents in the room, I've had underage girls do this. And in a week from then, they're expecting their box of Lululemon clothing that's tailor fitted exactly to them. And instead, they get a sextortion email. Hey, here's your naked picture, your topless picture. Send us $500 in iTunes cards, or else we're going to share this all over Instagram. We're going to ruin your name.
They do this with parents in the room.
They do this with parents in the room.
Holy cow.
That's how legit it works. I mean, they have the Lululemon logo. They have a contract. They have everything.
Okay. And so again, if somebody has an existing Instagram account with like a bunch of people, that's great. And that would be easy pickings, right? For somebody who's trying to build it up and actually make money, right? Like a student athlete, I have to imagine that like Speedo or Tier or any, like say you're dealing with a swimmer, right? It's like, hey, we would love to have you represent our team. You're an awesome swimmer. And we saw you on social media. Again, it's working. Oh my God, Mom, it's working like this. And all these things we have to see, shape, about the whole thing. It's like, and you're just exposing you start a process of trying to gain notoriety and money off of an Instagram account as a young female student athlete. You are going to be hanging yourself out there so aggressively. Like you couldn't signal any harder that like you're the perfect prey for people looking to do this kind of scam.
Yes. And what the other thing that's going to happen, let's say you have a perfectly innocent young girl that's a swimmer.
Yeah.
Now, here she is at the award. She's got her award. She's going to get, 10,000 likes. Well, here she is dripping wet getting out of the pool. She's going to get 100,000 likes.
Right.
And they're going to start seeing the pictures. Hey, fully dressed, you're going to get nothing. Undressed in your Speedo uniform, swim uniform, whatever, you're going to get so much. So They're going to learn very quickly your body parts are going to get you a lot more likes.
Right.
Not only are we there for predators, but we're also grooming kids to be worth their body parts. And not only the person that's in the pictures, we're grooming everybody else right now.
Right.
Somebody else who's, let's say they're a track star or, something else where they're not undressed in the pool.
Right.
They're going to say, well, I can't compete with a swimmer because they're in a bikini all the time or in a swimsuit all the time. Right. And hey, I can't break out of the, 20,000 likes because I'm not showing body
break out
parts.
of the 20,000 likes. God, that's brutal.
Right. Because the truth of the matter is I've got 6th, 7th grade girls who will be in a bikini picture and get 1 million likes. These are 6th and 7th graders. They shouldn't even have social media by all standards. If they show up in a bikini and they make some sexy remark, or they put on makeup, or they wear their bikini that's 3 times too small and are busting out in all the wrong places, they're going to get 500,000. They're going to get 1 million likes. What if we just shown them and everybody else who's their friends on social media? They're worth their body parts.
Right. Anybody paying attention is like, oh, this is why it's working. So you have the recruiting aspect, which is, again, perhaps there's nothing against having highlight reels. Okay. Like to be very, very clear, anybody doing like football or baseball or whatever, you want to get recruited, you're going to have a highlight reel. There are some aspects of different sports like swimming. It's kind of like, listen, man, this is my time, right? There's like, you don't even want to know what I looked like swimming it, but like I did in fact swim this fast, which is important. So you have varying degrees of necessity for media demonstrating capacity in athletics. Okay, fine. But social media, like, yeah, you could do it on social media. You can also just send highlight reels. Like you can do professionally done videos that you have up on like YouTube or something, and you send those directly to coaches. But again, the NIL, right, which is making money, opens people up for scams like this because they're attempting to gain notoriety. They're attempting to make money. So somebody saying, hey, I'll give you money, just get naked for a second. That's going to be a dead giveaway. It's like, okay, great. That's a piece of cake. And obviously signaling to their friends and everybody around them, that's important. I wanted to actually demonstrate kind of what we're talking about. Okay. So there's currently a gymnast at LSU that's very popular and she makes a lot of money. Okay. So what I did is I went on to the LSU website and I figured out, okay, what are the top 10 NILs, name, image, likeness, sponsored athletes at LSU. Surprise, the top 3 are girls, okay, young women. Now, I want to actually go through this and show you what they look like, okay? And you can figure out really quickly for yourself who they are. And again, just to be really clear, and this is public information. It's not like I had to go anywhere crazy. The number 1 is Livy Dunn or Dune. I don't know how you pronounce her name. Number 2 is Angel Reese. And number 3 is Miss Johnson. Do you know how to pronounce number 3 at the bottom there?
No.
No. Okay. So it's like FlauJae. I think it's FlauJae. FLAU apostrophe JAE. FlauJae Johnson. Okay. Now let's start with FlauJae Johnson. If we go to FlauJae Johnson on Instagram, okay, let me just pull this up real fast. You will see what I mean, what $1.1 gets you if you're looking for something like that. So this is FlauJae Johnson. All right.
Okay.
Okay, great. FlauJae Johnson has 1.7 million followers. Okay, now again, think of how astronomically difficult it would be to get 1.7 million followers on Instagram, and that's only worth $1.1 million. It's worth about $1 million. Like, it's impossible, right? Not impossible. This woman did it. And if you look at her feed, she has a smattering of things. Okay, so it's not terrible.
Nope.
Okay, like you have basketball things. You do have some, like ads, like this Powerade ad. That's pretty clear. Okay, but nothing inappropriate. She's wearing sweats. She's not posing horribly. You do have some fashion things. Okay, so you have, but she's in jeans and, her shirt's cut up. Okay, like a little edgy. But then you have, basketball photos, basketball videos, things of that nature. So FlauJae's making $1 million. She's apparently really good at basketball. She has 1.7 million followers. That's a lot. Okay, great. That'll get you 1-1. Okay.
Yeah, and looking at that looks like a fairly clean account, right? If it's your daughter, you're not going to be
super upset about this. There are a couple swimsuit style like this one. She's in a bikini top. Okay. Now, not hyper revealing, but she's definitely in a swimsuit bikini.
But nothing crazy.
Right. Now, if you look at something like that, she got 110,000 likes on that. Okay. If you go up just one, it's a small video of her dancing with a friend that got 17,000 likes. So you see right away, it's almost like a factor of 10, right?
Yes.
Like you show a picture of her in a swimsuit, you get a lot. You show a picture of her holding a basketball with LSU. Okay. That only got 70,000 likes. So by far the things that are getting the most likes are obviously her in a swimsuit. So if you're wondering about where people respond the most or where she's being encouraged to pose, here's another one. In a full bikini, 250,000 likes. Okay. Again, if she's paying attention, she knows the second I put on a swimsuit, my engagement skyrockets. What do you think the brands want? They want engagement. If she wants to make more money, what do you think she's going to tend towards?
Yep. Nothing to do with basketball.
Nothing to do with basketball. And again, I don't know this young woman. This is just purely an experiment. So let's go to Angel Reese. Now, Angel Reese makes $1.7 million. She's also, I believe, a basketball player. So Angel Reese, I will pull her up here. So again, she makes about $600,000 more than this other gal. Angel Reese. Oh, it's auto-populates. No surprise there. Angel Reese. Here we go. So 2.6 million followers. Okay. So she's on her way to 3, which is great. Now, Angel Reese, right out of the blocks, you see has different types of photos. The number one pinned photo is her in what looks like some kind of very, very low cut dress or high cut. I don't know.
Mini skirt
is something. Yeah. And these will all be up on the screen. But then you start seeing this is much less about basketball. Okay, you don't have as many basketball highlight videos. You start having fashion where a full leg is being exposed. And again, I'm not saying this woman is making anything inappropriate, but it's definitely less about basketball. And it's no surprise if you start looking at the photos that got the most engagement, you're going to see that the things where she's in a swimsuit or something like that get the most engagement. For instance, here's one where she's on some type of raft on a river, in a swimsuit, almost 500,000 likes. Okay. And if you flip down to something where she's just, let's see here. Oh, here's another one, another fashion one, blue dress. Okay. Almost 1 million likes, has nothing to do with basketball. So this woman is making I think I said $1.7 million, at least in part off of the advertising on her Instagram page and populating it with things that are not related to sports at all. So let's be clear, like they are student athletes. They're not the things that get the most attention on their Instagram have nothing to do with being an athlete. Yeah.
Correct.
Great. And then we come to the last one. This is my favorite, Livy Dunn. Okay. $3.5 million. That's the reported income. So here we go. Livy Dunn. She has 4.9 million followers. So almost 5 million people. instantaneously, what do you see?
Yeah. So you see cleavage, you see their, skin, lots of skin.
Skin, lots of skin. You see incredibly choreographed photos. Here's one of her. I mean, like, all of these photos are just, they're
Sexy.
oh my gosh,
Right.
incredible. This little video right here, this is actually her saying how excited she is to be going on the Sports Illustrated swimsuit edition, right? So this young woman is doing photos that are literally just incredibly revealing photos. Here's one. So the other girls had fashion. This is her literally wearing like the Queen of Dragons from Game of Thrones dress. Ridiculous. Totally revealing. Right. And it's impossible. Like, you go through this entire feed and you have just shots like this, that it's kind of like, okay, even the most innocent of shots are not designed to be demonstrating her sport, are not highlighting her as a person. Here's one of her coming out of the swim pool in a red shirt, the whole bit. Okay. Now, again, the point is, here is somebody doing what people want to do the best possible. She's making the most money. She's the most successful. She has the most followers. And she is literally peddling lowbrow pornography.
Yes. And she's teaching all the up and coming young girls the same thing.
Right.
And the young boys, the same thing. Right. I mean, I literally at the school have young women who come up and say, I wish some of these athletes would stop doing this. I wish some of these adults would stop doing this, because now all the boys in high school expect all the high school girls to do the same thing. Right.
Oh, man, that's terrible.
Right? Meaning, hey, I wish they would stop sexualizing themselves. I wish they would stop doing this, because now it becomes the normal. And now if these high school girls don't do the same thing for the boys, now they become the outcast. They become the freak. They become the minority of kids who are trying to increase their personal value by honor, respect, languages, sports, cooking, all those things that would elevate you correctly. And hey, let's take the cheater away and just show skin, and we're up with everybody else.
Right. And for the athlete that is really trying to gain a following and maybe get sponsorships in the most honest and respectable way, just by the fact that they're doing that, they put the other students at risk. And it's like, listen, you don't want to blame them. You don't want to say, hey, look, you can't do this. But just like we pointed out earlier, if you have a stellar quarterback who has this robust, incredible Instagram account, that Instagram account can be used to and leveraged to take advantage of young girls. And it's not the quarterback's fault, but it's just the mere existence of the account allows other people to copy the account and then get nude pictures of like 14 and 15-year-olds.
Yep. And now you even have another aspect of it. You get some creeper guy who gets this girl's phone number, calls her, and hey, I'm the coach at UCSD. We're interested in your highlight reels that we saw. However, we got these other girls. Look up their Instagram account. We need a few of your pictures in a bikini, maybe showing some cleavage, so that we can see how marketable you are. And it could be some stranger. It doesn't even have to be a coach.
God, man, I hadn't even thought about that.
Right. So now you got other people who are going, and this happens in every industry, the same thing, right? In the music industry, you have the same thing. In the movie industry, you have the same thing, where you have predators who are going to leverage what other people have done against these young kids.
So the bottom line is, anyone seeking engagement or attention online is susceptible to people saying that they're going to give them attention, not even directly doing it. It's like, hey, I'm going to give you gear. I'm going to give you, I'm going to feature you here. I'm going to consider you for my recruiting roster. I'm going to do these things. And because they have sought this kind of interaction online, they're hyper susceptible to people that are just lying, that aren't that thing.
Yeah. And sex sells, right?
Right.
Even if they are that thing, right? Let's say you do have a UCSD coach who isn't the best intention or whatever, I'm just throwing out names.
Yeah. Sorry, UCSD. Totally accidental that you came up.
Let's say you do have a coach that's bad intention. Now they're going to use that against kids, right? And they've been doing that forever, since before the internet. We just have an easier way to get a hold of more kids.
Yeah, that's 100% true. And you do have to just consider, like, okay, do you really want your kids being displayed or treated like a commodity? Because that's what you're doing. And you've said it a million times. I've personally heard it. They're worth their body parts. And this is just reinforcing that under the guise of, we will help you get into school and make money. But the making the money is because they're worth their body parts. The gal making over $3 million is selling her body parts. She's selling images of herself. And the other gals who are doing far less of that and displaying basketball highlights and things like that, they're making millions of dollars less. Millions. How upsetting.
Yes. And now we have a school promoting it.
Man, that's the last piece that just blows my mind.
Right. And so it's hard to go backwards. Right now we've gotten into this sexualization of everything. It's hard to go backwards. Right. And every generation thinks the next generation is doomed because of whatever. And so here we are. Are they going to survive? Probably. But I don't want my kids doing it. I don't want kids that I know doing it.
Right.
But also the education. We have to educate parents, right? You give them a cell phone, they start doing social media, you're pimping your kids out. You are part of the problem. You have some accountability in what happens to them online.
Right. That's a totally fair point. Right. If you give your cell phone, if you give your daughter a cell phone and you allow social media to be engaged, and then later on you find that she's sending either nude photos or she's gaining a huge following by just being in ridiculous swimsuits and whatnot all the time, it's like, well, where'd she get the cell phone? Right. What do you say to parents who defend themselves? And again, parenting is hard, right? Like, let me be really clear. First off, I don't have girls. I only have boys. And I'm worried about that enough because I think, obviously, for the reasons we've talked about today and prior, like, boys are under attack really intensely as well. But there are people out there that say, hey, I have this problem. I don't want my kid to be left behind either technologically or socially, which is a real problem. There are people. I was speaking with a friend who's on the board of education at a school district back in California, and he was saying, "Listen, I have a dear friend whose daughter. They decided, hey, we don't want my daughter to have cell phone. We don't want her to have social media. Good for you, parents. Awesome. This daughter got ostracized from her classmates, and by like 8th grade, she was on like antidepressants. It was a train wreck. She wasn't being invited to things. So they attempted to make the right call, at least what I would think was the right call, which is, hey, let's put the brakes on this." And it had horrible effects. How do parents navigate that? What would you recommend to somebody like that?
So parents have to make some choices that are intentional parenting choices, right? I mean, and there's extremes. You can let them have nothing, or you can let them have everything, or you can let them have something in the middle. And depending on your family dynamics and how you work things out, there's going to be an in-between. If you're out dirt biking in the desert with friends all day, a cell phone isn't going to be that important to a kid. If you're out on the boat water skiing all the time and your whole family's about water skiing, you don't have time for cell phones. So if you have activities and things that are going on, cell phone's not going to be that big a deal. If your kid goes to school, everybody else has social media, and they come home and they're bored and they just sit in their room with a book because no friends want to leave their rooms and they're Snapchatting, okay, now we're going to have a problem, right? So it's not bad parenting, but let's be intentional about our parenting and how we're going to do things.
Right. I'm glad you said that, because my response to this, my buddy, is like, okay, I think that's more commentary on the community that this girl is saturated in and less about, young people in general. Because again, there are engagements. I was thinking about there's a corral over by my house, and it was like, you can't be on your cell phone if you're working with large animals all the time, right? Like, yeah, maybe take a couple selfies with the horses, but like if you're raking poo or, dealing with this large beast and all of these things, like that's pretty engaging. And I wouldn't imagine that, perhaps I'm wrong, but you get into more equine culture and you're dealing with horses and you're dealing with, farm stuff. It's kind of like, I would be amazed if it's like, oh, if you're not on your phone, you're not getting invited to the rodeo or something. It's like, no, like these are things that you just go into a different community. But if your kids are stuck in a community or surrounded by individuals that aren't engaged in more engaging pursuits. They literally aren't doing something that requires all of their attention. Then cell phones come out instantaneously. They're bored. They have 10 seconds of downtime. They're going to check their phone, all these different things. That's a different culture. So it's kind of, again, like you were saying, if you change the level of pursuit and engagement within somebody's life, it's possible to find pursuits and engagements that are prohibitive to cell phone usage or compulsory cell phone usage.
Yeah, I mean, it's simple as how many high school kids have changed out an engine in a car?
Yeah.
Right? And that doesn't take a whole bunch of community. I mean, you could do that with your dad, with your grandpa. Let's change out an engine in the car. I mean, there's back in my day, there was kids who did that yearly.
Right.
Right?
Yeah.
Those guys wouldn't have time for cell phones. How many kids have done that today? I mean, I'm impressed if a kid knows how to put air in their tires these days.
Yeah.
Right? Even looking it up on cell phone. But this is an intentional parenting. What kind of parenting are you going to be? And, you know, did you have kids by accident, which happens? You know, do the best you can. You can still be completely productive. You can still be completely successful as a parent, even if you had them by accident. If you make some very specific and intentional parenting decisions on how you want things to be, a lot of times it's going to come out just fine. And there's a whole margin of error. You have a huge margin of error on raising kids. Ain't nobody a perfect parent. You have a huge margin of error, but you have to make some intentional decisions. And if you use social media as a babysitter, there's going to be some bad decisions. If you aren't paying attention, aren't having the conversations with your kids, there's going to be a problem sometime, right? And it's going to be a big problem. And you're going to blame your kid, but at the same time, you gave them the cell phone. Right. It's the same thing. You give your kid a car, you're not checking to make sure they have their seatbelt on. When they crash and die, right? That's a horrible thing.
Right.
But again, parents have a responsibility to kind of double check. Kids are still have developing brains. As a parent, you're there to coach them through, right? Let's keep their mistakes small, but we have to keep double checking on them. Hey, how are you doing? Are you wearing your seatbelt? Are you stopping on stoplights? Are you being careful? Are you texting and driving? Which most kids are texting and driving because they're so addicted to their cell phone. Most adults are texting and driving. That's deadly.
Yeah. Listen, thank you for coming on today. Is there anything we've missed?
No,
I think we hit a lot of things.
I think we hit a lot of things, and I think that's a lot for today. And there's going to be 100 more topics we can talk about.
100 more. I so appreciate you taking my call and coming in today. I knew you would be the right guy to talk about this. It really did. It really worried me when that email went out because it's just you're introducing young people needlessly to this hellscape that they'll probably dabble in at some point. But when you start, like, look, I work in social media, right? Like YouTube is a social media platform. It's one of the most difficult to engage because for a number of reasons. But if you're just messing around on social media, if you're just messing around on YouTube or Instagram, well, then you're not going to take it that seriously. But the second you make somebody's life about gaining success on social media platforms, I'm 41 years old. I will tell you, you open a can of worms that our 16 and 17-year-olds and 15-year-olds and 18-year-olds, they don't need to be messing with, right? It's bad enough that they're on social media. Don't make it part of their success as athletes or financial pull. You're bringing in too much.
Yeah, you're basically going to be pimping your kids to the world.
Right. God, man, that's a dark way of putting it, but it's so true, huh?
Yep.
Oh. Well, again, Officer Gomez, thank you for coming in. I appreciate you.
Well, thanks for having me as always.
This podcast is brought to you by MTU Studios. If you're looking to start a podcast or need content for your business or personal use, content of any type, please reach out to MTU Studios. MTUstudios.com. We'd love to help.